So a number of you have asked about the Electoral College. There have been some comments on some of our videos and questions about it, and I think this is one of those pieces of our electoral system that we forget about a lot. When you vote for the president, you are not voting for your actual candidate. You are voting for electors who have promised to vote for that candidate. This means that when you go to vote, you're voting for a guy down the street who has promised that he, if elected to the position of elector, will show up and vote for the candidate that you like. The Electoral College meets in each state. Each state legislature has the power to choose how their electoral votes will be cast. States used to choose in their state legislatures who they wanted the president to be. It used to be the individual voter didn't have much choice. That changed pretty quickly in the early 19th century. But technically still, a legislature could say, you know what, we're not going to let the people vote, we're just going to decide, or we're going to let the governor decide, or they can choose any number of other ways. A couple of states don't do the winner-take-all system. 48 of our states say whoever gets the majority of the vote in our state, that candidate gets all of the electors appointed for them. Two states don't do that. That's Nebraska and Maine. They actually do kind of an interesting system. So electoral votes are based on the number of congressional and Senate seats that your state has, right? So if you're a small state, if you're Vermont, you get 3 electoral votes because you get your 2 senators and you get your House of Representatives person. They're not your electors. It has to be separate people, but the electors are appointed for that number of seats. That's 3 seats for them. Wyoming gets 3 seats. Bigger states get more seats in the Electoral College, as we call it. So in Maine and in Nebraska, what they do is they actually say each congressional district picks an elector, and then whoever wins the total vote from the state gets those 2 Senate votes. So in other words, in Maine, I think it's 4 electoral votes. So each of their congressional districts, it might be 5, each of their congressional districts votes. Then whoever wins the majority vote throughout the state gets those extra 2 votes. And as a result, even though perhaps Kamala Harris wins Maine, maybe Trump takes off one of those electoral votes and he gets one of them, even though Harris won Maine. Nebraska, again, same thing. So that's sort of the way that system works. In each state, they gather to vote. So your 10 Electoral College members get together somewhere in your state, in Harrisburg. They gather together and they all cast their votes. They put them in ballots, which are then sealed, and they're then transmitted to the seat of government of the United States. That would be Washington, D.C. And on one day, Congress gathers together and opens all the votes and counts them. And of course, by then, it's fairly anticlimactic. We typically know what happens. Of course, last time on January 6th, while they were counting the votes, there was some controversy. You may have heard about that. That's a separate issue entirely. So the Electoral College gets together and they choose the president or the vice president of the United States. If for any reason they don't have a majority after all those votes are cast, that's when the House chooses the president and the Senate chooses the vice president. That's extremely rare, hasn't happened since 1824, not likely to happen this time, but yay, you never know. Constitutional crises can be a lot of fun. So that's a little bit about the Electoral College.